Okay, so have you ever designed this like beautiful garden or maybe a workspace only to realize you barely ever use it? It happens, right? Well, today we're going to dive into this really powerful design tool called Permaculture Zones. It's all about working with our natural habits to create a way smarter, way more efficient homestead.
And it all starts with a super simple and I think very relatable problem. Let's just call it the sideways rain test. So picture this. You're in the kitchen, you're making this amazing pasta sauce, and outside, the rain is just lashing against the windows, the wind is howling, and then it hits you. You know the one thing that would make this sauce absolutely perfect? A handful of fresh basil. Now be honest with yourself. If your garden is a 50-foot walk away, are you really going to go get that basil? Are you going to put on your boots and a coat for just one herb? Or do you just kind of sigh and reach for the dried stuff in the pantry? Yeah, that's what I thought. And you know what? That single moment, that decision, it reveals everything about whether your design is a success or a failure.
See, the solution here isn't about trying to force yourself to be more disciplined. Nope. It's about designing for how we actually behave. It's about working with our human nature, not fighting against it. And that is the core idea behind permaculture zoning. It is such a beautifully simple system. All it does is arrange your space based on how often you use things. You put the stuff you need every single day right at your fingertips, and the things you need less often, you put those farther away. It's basically designed for our naturally energy efficient and, let's be real, sometimes kind of lazy selves.
All right, so let's take a little tour of these zones, shall we? We're going to start right where we spend the most time, right at the center of all the action, the homestead itself. First up, Zone 0. And you know what that is? It's the house. Yep, the house itself. Before you even step a foot outside, you can be designing for efficiency. I mean, think about things like passive solar, where the sun does the heating for you, or a gray water system that automatically waters your garden with your shower water. It's amazing. The most sustainable moves, they almost always start by saving energy right where you live. Okay, now we're stepping outside, right into Zone 1. And this one is so important. It's your highest traffic area. I love this nickname for it. Some people call it the slipper zone. And the rule is simple. If you can't get to it in your slippers, it's too far away. This is the area you are absolutely visiting every single day, maybe even multiple times a day. So what goes here? Well, think about it. Your kitchen garden, right? With all your salad greens and those culinary herbs, like our basil, your delicate little seedlings that need watering every day. Maybe you have a rabbit hutch or a worm farm, and for sure, a small compost bin right there for your kitchen scraps. These are all the things that need and really benefit from your daily attention.
And this quote, man, it just perfectly illustrates the most crucial point. I see this all the time. People put their main garden like way out in the back because, oh, the sun is better there or the soil seems better. But the expert advice is so clear on this. Don't move the garden. Fix the soil right by your door instead. Why? Because proximity will always beat perfect conditions, because you'll actually be there to take care of it.
All right, let's move just a little bit further out now. We're entering Zone 2. This is the area you're probably visiting every few days, not necessarily every single day. Just think of it like your main backyard, just past the patio or the deck.
So what's good for Zone 2? Well, it's a great spot for something like a chicken coop, right? You visit to collect eggs, but the birds have a little more room to roam. It's also perfect for smaller fruit trees, berry bushes, and your main crops. You know, the things you harvest all at once, like potatoes or corn. And those larger compost piles that you only turn every so often, yeah, they fit really well here too.
Okay, so now we're going to move even further out. We're shifting from the really intensively managed parts of the homestead to the broader, more self-sufficient landscape.
And check this out. What's so interesting here is how clearly it lays out the whole concept in numbers. I mean, look at that drop-off in visits. We are talking over 300 visits a year to Zone 1, compared to maybe only 50 for Zone 3. That right there, that's the energy savings in action. Which brings us right to Zone 3. This is where gardening really starts to feel more like farming. We're talking about your main orchards, your pastures for larger livestock like sheep or goats, or maybe even some cash crops. You're not out here with a watering can. No way. You're relying on bigger systems and probably only visiting, say, weekly or monthly. Next up is Zone 4, and this is your semi-wild zone. It's kind of a managed woodland. You might only come out here a few times a year, maybe to forage for wild mushrooms or berries, or to gather some firewood.
The cool part, nature is doing all the heavy lifting here. You just show up to harvest the surplus.
And finally, we have Zone 5, pure wilderness. This is the one area that is left completely untouched. You don't do anything here. Its whole purpose is to be your teacher. Seriously, by just observing how this little natural ecosystem handles pests and water and growth, you learn these incredible lessons that you can apply to all your other zones. And you know, even if it's just a tiny wild corner in a suburban yard, it can still serve this vital role.
So that's the theory. But let's be honest, the real power comes when you start applying this stuff to your own unique property. So let's talk about how you can actually map out your own zones.
First things first, I want you to completely forget those perfect, neat little circles you always see in the textbooks. It doesn't work like that. In real life, your zones are going to look more like, well, like amoebas. They're going to stretch out along the paths you walk every day, and they'll shrink away from obstacles like a steep hill. They're organic, and they're based entirely on how you actually move around your space.
Okay, here is a super simple 3-step process to get you started. Step 1, audit your movement. Just for 1 week, pay attention to where you actually walk. Those worn paths, those are your natural Zone 1 pathways. Step 2, identify your sectors. Now that's a permaculture term for the external energies that flow through your property, things like the path of the summer sun or the direction of the winter wind. And finally, step 3, place your elements. Just make a list of everything you want on your property, and then start placing each one based on how often you'll need to visit it. It's honestly that straightforward.
All right, before we wrap things up here, there's something really important to remember. This whole thing, it's not a rigid set of rules you have to follow perfectly. It is a flexible tool that's meant to make your life easier.
And that brings up a couple of questions I get all the time. People ask, do I really need all 5 zones? Or, this is great, but what if I live in a tiny apartment? And you know what? Those are fantastic questions. And the answer is a big, resounding no. You do not need all 5 zones. You design for the space that you actually have. So if you're in an apartment, your Zone 1 is that herb garden on your windowsill. Your Zone 2, maybe it's a plot at a community garden down the street. The core principle of putting the high-use stuff closest to you, it stays exactly the same, no matter the scale. And that right there is the most crucial takeaway. Please don't get paralyzed trying to achieve some kind of textbook perfection. Real life is messy. Just start with Zone 1. Get your daily needs met in the most convenient way you can, and then you can think about expanding outward. Because in the end, zones are a tool to serve you, not a rule to constrain you. Use this idea to build a space that doesn't just look beautiful, but works beautifully too.